Welcome to Diecast Restos. My name is Jason and this is a Lesney Matchbox 18A Caterpillar Bulldozer dating back to 1955. The typical paint colours for these consisted of a yellow body with a red plough. There were 3 subsequent bulldozers at number 18 in the range, but this is easily distinguished due to its red plough. They were body coloured on the B, C and D. Here's how a mint one looks, and when compared to mine, it's easy to tell it's been painted over in silver. The driver had also been decapitated, so I picked up a reproduction operator for a 2B Muir Hill dumper for a transplant. The metal rollers are crimped secure onto the axles. While the body casting is identical to the 8A Caterpillar tractor, the axles themselves had to be elongated to accept the dozer blade. As mine had bent slightly, I needed to straighten it. I then tried to remove the original and overpaint, first using caustic soda. Evidently that didn't work, so I had a go at it a second time with liquid paint stripper. The model was actually based on a 1947 or 48 larger scale bulldozer produced by Moko Lesney. In the process, it gained a driver similar to the earlier 8A model. They had 24 tread green tracks fitted, which made this a charming little multicoloured toy. I was amazed to find a model in this condition with those still intact. The only issue was the silver overpaint and the headless operator, or so I thought. I completely missed the fact that the hood-mounted vertical exhaust pipe had snapped off of the casting. Since it was such a clean break, I didn't once stop to think that something was missing. I just assumed the leftover stub was a cast feature since it appears to have smoothed out over the last 70 years. Aside from that though, it looks remarkably good for its age, especially with this plough. I am due to tackle the 8A Caterpillar at some point soon, and doing that restoration, I'll certainly check that the pipe hasn't broken off. I've actually collected one of each of the 8A, B, C and D castings ready to take on all together. Now I was a bit fingers and thumbs affixing the driver's new head, but I am really pleased with the result. It looked as if it was a perfect fit. That meant I could get on with priming the pieces. Unlike the number 8 models, this is the only number 18 that I've come across so far. It was replaced in 1958 by the 18B Bulldozer, which had a more distinctive body casting shape and was painted all yellow. That was 50mm in length. I will work on the 18B, C and D once I've grabbed them. It's fairly easy to find them, just that they are usually missing their ploughs. I must apologise for the short nature of this video. It's a busy run up to Christmas for me this year and I needed a relatively quick project in the bag. Next time, I will try not to rush so much to avoid making an error like missing that exhaust pipe. Actually, the longest part of this rebuild is putting the thing back together again. It was difficult negotiating between the rollers, tracks, axles, plough and body all in one go. I needed at least one extra pair of hands, but it has certainly made me glad I didn't take on all 4 number 18 bulldozers in one hit. One key difference between the 8A tractor and this bulldozer is the lack of trim. The 8A had hand-painted silver or gold trim to the grille, where this is absent on the 18. The drivers could also be painted red with a black hat. 8A rollers could be body coloured, but this was all prior to the 18A coming out, so none of these variations transferred over to it. However, the drivers of the 18A could on occasion have a black hat painted in. This addition doesn't affect the values of the bulldozer. Once the axles have been re-crimped, the ends get a touch of chrome to finish off this little project. So this was how my 18A Caterpillar Bulldozer appeared when I found it. Its last owner had painted over the majority of the body and a lot of the blade in silver. The operator had been decapitated and the engine was missing its exhaust pipe, which I failed to notice. The 70-year-old tracks were just about holding up, while the axles, which hold the entire thing together, were quite bent out of shape. So let's see how it looks after my fixes. The model is back in its original colour scheme of a yellow body paired to a red blade. I've straightened both the axles and the plough so it isn't bent inwards towards the rear anymore. I've washed up the tracks and they still work well, which is great, as I love the originality. I replaced the driver's missing head with a reproduction one from a 2B Muirhill dumper, and I think if I hadn't told you, you'd be none the wiser about that fix. I think it looks great. Not so great is the missing hood exhaust pipe, which I completely disregarded. Perhaps I will retrospectively add it on when I take on the challenge of restoring the 18B, C and D bulldozers in the not too distant future. Let me know if you think that's a good idea in the comments. Aside from that, if you liked the rest of the restoration, leave the video a like and don't forget to subscribe for more. So thanks for watching and I'll see you again for the next one. Bye for now.